Alright, I think we're alive. Are we alive? I'm pretty sure we're alive. Hello, everybody, and let's get a synchronization check here. So, hopefully that should get everything started. Tell me something. I don't know whether it's just a perception or what, but the rendering of the video seems to be astoundingly clearer right now. I don't know if it's just me, but I've always worried that in the past that the videos were very sort of like a little bit blockish, but these ones seem to be actually. I've just did some changes and it seems to be a lot better. Like if I go to the overhead, I don't recall seeing the overhead being quite this good in the past, but maybe it's just me. Yeah, it could just be me. It just seems, yeah, it's super clear. Whereas with the, look at the previous ones, they sort of always have a little bit of a blur to them. But I don't know what's changed. The only thing I did was I took away the buffering on the video cameras, so maybe that makes all the difference. And I should mention that I think the buffering is what was causing the audio drift previously. So who knows, maybe we get better quality video and we don't get the audio drift, and that's funnily enough all because of what I've been doing with this new device that I've been sent. And I'd just like to give Jim, who's here in the chat with us, a massive thank you. I wasn't expecting anything like this, but Jim decided that he wanted to see me play around a little bit more, do a bit better with my repairs, and so he has sent through a very nice device, and I'm now going to switch over, and you should all say hello to me. So here I am. I've got myself now a FLIR 1 Pro camera, and this is a USB-C one. Now they're not meant for Linux use, but fortunately some other people previously had done some work to make it partially workable in Linux, and then I took their code and made it better. So now it really works in Linux and does really well. So there's a little bit of a lag, but overall it's pretty damn good. So I'm very impressed with it. Obviously it looks very blurry on your screens because of the fact that let's see if I got audio. Yeah, because of the fact that it's only a 160 by 120, and I'm stretching it out to full screen. But you get the idea. This is not the pistol grip one. This is just the little one that clips onto the bottom of the phone. So I'm just going to switch back to the standard. Okay. Yeah, well, it's only 9 frames per second, so and that's pretty much all I need. Zoom, I'm definitely not sick. I know it probably says about 38 or whatever, but yeah, so I'd like everyone to thank Jim. Don't go harassing him, please. He does very good work for the rest of Australia. He puts himself out on the line every summer to help out many other people who need our help. And it's certainly not something I was expecting, but I am very, very grateful. Jim also was the chap that sent me the little 10, 11-inch screens and a couple of other little goodies. So, yeah, I really don't know what else to say other than that I hope that by writing the modified code so that this now works very cleanly natively with Linux, that that will be my contribution back to what has been done here. Jim's more than Hero of the Month, he's Hero of the Year. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully we can spot some hot chips, but unfortunately I don't have a board at the moment that will be something that we need. We do have one computer to work on, but it's probably not a short circuit board, but we'll have a look anyway. Linux Dog, I will put the code up in the future. It's still just going through the alpha phase, and I've only just got it to the point where it's working good now. Like I said, I was just lucky someone else had done the hard work of working out how to actually get the infrared frame buffer data off this unit, because this is not meant for PC connection, it's meant for Android phones. So making it work on a PC, that was quite the trick. Time to inject 30 volts into a CPU core. Pernov knows the idea. But yeah, so now I keep repeating it, but definitely thank you very much, Jim. That was an incredible investment. And I certainly would have been happy to pay for it eventually, but it wasn't something I was really up to right now. So to see this turn up was quite a shock. No, it's not Android emulation. This is direct USB-C, so it's been read as a USB device into Linux, and we communicate with it It also has the advantage I'm able to make it generate 3 video outputs. So we have the visual image, we have the grayscale infrared frame buffer, and then we have the enhanced one, which is what you saw with the combination of the coloring and all that sort of stuff. The nice thing is, because I've got the source code now, because I've got this source code there, I can do a lot of tweaks and adjustments according to what I want to try and do. Alright, the downside is that it's GPL licensed, because it already was GPL licensed, and well, that's just the way it goes. So it may inhibit it being distributed to other places. Okay, well, I'm just going to put it aside. So let's see, I'll quit out of it. That, and disconnect it. It has some quirks with its power supply and things like that, but overall it's pretty good. Anyway, this is it being held in my little tripod holder. But that's it then. So it's actually a USB-C connection here, and it's just got a USB 3 normal USB connector adapter on it. But I'll get a USB-C male to female extension lead. I need about 2 meters, and that should work out quite nicely. Oh, I have to also get a holder made for it. Let's see, I better catch back up on... Hey Margarita, good to see you. So I'm just catching up on everybody's conversations. Suppose you want me to make a macro lens now. Can you even get a macro lens for those? I don't know. Rick Techno, the network should be just fine, but I don't know what I've done. I think maybe by turning off the buffering, but you're right, the quality is just much better now. And it kind of pains me, because I'm thinking, have I for all this time been running on really sluggish bad quality for no good reason? But you're right, this quality now is what I was expecting all along, but I could never get it, and I just thought, well, maybe it's because I'm using USB cameras and I've only got a i5 8400, things like that, and I thought I had to get myself an HDMI capture card to help the CPU, or maybe get a GPU in the system. But this is just running straight off an Intel i5 8400, and I've got, well, about 4 cameras now if you include the infrared. But yes, I don't know why it's gone crisp, but it really has. Yeah, it's steady 1080. I mean, I always had 1080, that wasn't so much a problem, but it always felt like it was more like rendering about 720, or not quite true 1080. It was like, okay, look, we'll give you 1080 on the frame, but we're going to fuzz up those 720s to make it look like a 1080. And the only thing I did was turn off buffering, and I think maybe that was it. Maybe in Open Broadcaster, if you turn off the camera buffering, this is what comes out. Yo, Greg, with the... yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should try turn buffering back on and see if it degenerates, but it's definitely way better than it was before. I mean, I remember just as I was starting this stream, and I flicked it on, and I was like, "Whoa, this is clear," and it's not stuttery or anything. And that was with me running the infrared camera processing software, which it's not a massive load, but it is about 3 or 4% on the CPU. Yeah, maybe the buffering uses the CPU or RAM or something differently, but yeah, I don't know. No time sync audio also. Yeah, I'm thinking the audio is not going to drift on this one either. So we'll see. Let's see. So we've got one machine. It's an unfortunate 1534, but this one is not a dead CPU scenario. This is a no SSD scenario, which in some ways is even worse. Because at least with the no CPU scenario, I can, we can cook the CPU up and get the data off. This SSD gone missing. I don't know what we can do about it. So I'll have a look. Maybe we'll get lucky. But I don't have the greatest of hopes. Okay. Now, I mean, this whole overhead, I'm going to be very curious to see if motherboards show up a lot clearer. Because when I would look at Lewis's videos, if you looked at the main board, you could see the parts quite distinctly. And looking at, yeah, I can now, this is much, much better. Like, I can actually distinguish most of the parts on there. Damn, all these years I've put out crappy quality videos, and it was only because of just one or two little switches, maybe. It kind of makes me sad. But I guess we can just move forward. And now I've got to find all my tools, since I've just pushed them all to the side like a crazy man. Let's see, what's this, Pionov? Sorry, Pionov, I missed what you were saying. I'm going to go back now. Hey, Tails. Yeah, Jim, I know Lewis made a comment about how clean my stream was, but I don't know, I think he's got a warped perception of how good his is, because his are quite good. Okay, so Pionov says that Hey, James Ewing. You're saying that the no SSD is a CPU symptom? Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. I thought it might have been just like the SSD's yeah, the controller chips or the RAM chips themselves having a failure. Yeah, Lewis's issue is the network, not his encoding system. Whereas me, it's always the encoding system not quite up to it. Because like I said, this is just an 8400. I've got no GPU processing or anything. This is all purely Intel. And the USB cameras, which means they actually chew up more CPU on the bus. I think the buffering part of the program uses slight compression to save memory. John, that'd be an interesting thing to look up. I'm actually kind of not keen to even test it. I'm so happy with just seeing this improved result. The reason why the FLIR camera revealed that to me was because the software I've written for it, I use a direct-to-screen texture surface, so that it's actually an app, and the app, on screen shows what's happening right now. And the frame, the performance was right up where I'd expect, like less than 100 milliseconds to update. But then I noticed that the video, when I was looking at in OBS, was slowly drifting back in time. So after about 10 minutes, I could do this, and then about 3 seconds later, the video output also caught up. And at that point, I thought, I wonder if it's the buffering. So I turned off the buffering, and then it all went in sync. And so I thought, that might relate to the audio issues that I was having. And so that's why I turned off buffering on the cameras. And then all of a sudden, it all just seems ultra clear. So, yeah. Let's see. What did some scumbucket write? Oh, look, someone running trash. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's so much clearer. It burns my soul to think it's been unclear for so long. Well, good thing that we found this out now, rather than after I spend another $5,000 or $6,000 on hardware that I actually don't need. Interesting, this one's got a Phillips head in it rather than the tri-wing, so I'm guessing this is not a I'm guessing this is not the 840 board, 45 board I mean, sorry, 820-0045. This is going to be the other one. Seriously? It doesn't know that Phillips head. Wrong pitch, it says. Okay, fine. Yeah, Greg, that was a bit of a shock when I found out they're running wires like that. You're right. I was thinking they would have done the proper punch panels and rack assemblies. It can be a bit fiddly doing that, but it's definitely worth it once you put the time into it. I even do that here in this house, so yeah. Lewis told me to catch a stream. I'm on a two-way radio tech. Cool. Now, Boardviews come into a serviceman's PDF format. Joseph, unfortunately the trouble there is that you can't really convert the PDF because they're just vector drawings. There's no way of converting, or no easy way of converting that into logical representation of to do a board view. Basically you fundamentally need your pin location and the net it's associated to, and then the part that it's associated with. If you have those three things, pin location, net name, part, then from that you can construct a board view fairly easily. It won't necessarily look visually perfect, but you will be able to at least construct a board view. That's actually most of the MacBook board views. That's all they really have. They just have the pin location, network name, the part they're associated with, and the only other information that comes in those board views most times is the board outline, but we can ignore that. So with that small bit of information, we're able to construct the MacBook board views that you see. And all the part outlines and things like that for the MacBook boards, that's all heuristically generated. It is not actually part of the file format. There are some other file formats that work in Flex Board View, which do support part and pad outlines, but for MacBooks, it's all just generated by guessing. Looks like a 0045. Okay. Interesting that my previous ones had tri-wings though. So I wonder what the deal is with that. What am I doing here? Oh, that's right. I need to. Yeah, and the microscope camera is really good too. No, maybe I've just taken drugs or something, and everything seems so much clearer to me. Paul S has been running the HDMI cables. Wonder how they're getting them out of Lewis's office. How far can you run HDMI cables? Because at least with things like Cat 6, you get your 100 meters or 50 meters depending on your what bandwidth throughput you want. But yeah, I've never really looked into HDMI. Arnold G, yes, some people do that. I have actually considered getting into doing that, but it's probably something more for when I get this place purchased and I've got the room to get things like a surface planer, grinder, things like that. Because basically it's not too tricky. You just grind out each layer, take away the fiberglass and polish up the copper. And then if you have a half reasonable bit of software, you'll be able to just stitch the layers together, and then wherever there's commonalities of nodes, you can make it together. Okay, sorry Joseph, I'm just catching up now what you said. We do get part numbers, pin locations, and then the board view. I love the way to click through software and having to search and find through. Oh, I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? It's to just make it so much easier and faster. If you can get the manufacturing file that they use, not the Gerbers. Gerbers aren't really any use to me. but if you can get the like Eagle format, I don't know what program do they use to do the board design, because out of that you should be able to export to one of the formats that FlexBoardview will support, something like GenCAD. GenCAD's a good one if you can. There's a whole heap of others, and if you can get one of those, then basically you've got your board view, and then you can use your schematic as the PDF as the schematic, and then you can do the correlation. What's this? Wayne's found something. 20mm carbon dioxide lens model. Can use X-ray, PC. Alec, would that be a bit tricky in terms of depth control? KiCad works, yes. KiCad has an export facility that has a... I think KiCad will put out GenCAD. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm looking at... Let's go, how much is this thing? What was that? Treat stock. Still, be kind of curious because I don't know if I'm going to need a macro lens on this, but anyway. Okay, Joseph, well look, if you email me, if you don't know my email, someone I'm sure will post it just in here. Sorry, I've got to just get this MacBook board precariously out of the way. I seem to have locked myself into a corner here tonight. Oh, Joseph, well, you're welcome. Yeah, email me and we'll see what we can do for you, okay? I'm sure there's got to be a resource available that you can access. The designs your own designs, or what's the deal with them? I'm just trying to think, because if they're your own designs, then absolutely there'll be no problem. And if they're not, then the person who does do them, they shouldn't be too worried about intellectual property loss, because that is one of the good things about being able to export to something, another format, is that you're not exporting all the really subtle details that people... Sorry, I'm just realizing I'm having a splitter flex here. Okay, that's better. Now I want to get this screen cable off, but I kind of need to do it gently. I don't like tearing up the grounding adhesive there. Thanks, Greg. Someone made a... Oh yeah, I saw that, Pernov. Yeah. What I did like about the GenCAD export format is that it does have the part outlines and the pin shapes and things like that. So if you do have the opportunity to get that information into the Boardview file that format, then it may as well take it. Right. I hate separating this because it always seems to go wrong for me. We get ours directly from the manufacturer in the form of a service manual, troubleshoot steps, board view, schematics, all in one PDF. Right, okay. Well, if you can get them to export as something like GenCAD, if you go onto the... Actually, I'll just bring it up now. Alright, so let's see, I'll support Fab, Hyper. There's an ODB support, but it's not really the normal, the big one that everyone's expecting. GenCAD. There's the ASCII Protel output that we also support, and IPC D356. They're on the FlexBoardview site. If you go down into the comparison table, about 2/3 of the way down. Steve K. Watch Jess the next time she uses a thermal camera. What am I going to be watching out for? No, Margarita, funnily enough, I have a better connection than a lot of people. Even though I'm out here in the sticks, I do have a genuine 100/40 connection, and yeah, I have no trouble uploading. Like, I can go easily up to 10 megabit upload rate, but YouTube doesn't appreciate it, so I don't bother pushing that. Alright, Joseph, well, yeah, if you can email me, we can carry on sorting this out. Happy to help. It's actually something that I actually want to see more with Flex Boardview, because a lot of people think it's just for MacBooks or maybe PC laptops, but really it's meant for production line type things where you have your in-house designs and you want people to be able to service them, but you don't want to have to give away perhaps the full design file. And at least this way you can do it so that people get the information they need to service it quickly without you letting go of your intellectual property if that's something that's of particular concern. Or sometimes people just don't want to have to pay thousands of dollars per seat for something like Altium or whatever other program they're using. Alright, get this out. Man, this is a little bit trickier than I expected to get off. A little bit messier, I should rather say. Hey, Bloodum. Now, normally I don't forget this in terms of the orientation of this flex, but for safety reasons, I am going to put 3 red marks on there, because it's all too easy to have a bit of a whoopsie and put that in the wrong way, and then everything goes wrong. Horribly, horribly wrong. I personally haven't done it, but I know of a couple of people who have, and I don't want to see that happen. Oops. Let's see. Oh, just use the macro with the thermal. Oh, okay. Probably that's practical with iPhones. I'm not sure about with MacBooks. But I'll have a look. What made you change from professional software development and engineering to repair engineering? Renault, I actually do both concurrently. I keep them both running the best I can. So depending on what is happening in the market, I can just shift and change as needed. This is probably about the 4th or the 5th time I've had to reshape the business just to keep up with how things are changing in the market. And so I've always got something going on either side. And of course, begrudgingly, I also have normal IT sort of repair work, which nobody loves. Yeah, things like fixing up Windows installations, stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, there's not much point crying about the fact that no one's buying your stuff or whatever. It's just got to get out there and find out what the market wants or what's paying money and go and do it. Now, this is another case of the board being pretty much perfectly fine visually. Well, maybe I'll get one of those macro lenses, and I need a T4 here. And then for iPhone work, I'll put it on, and for MacBook work, I'll keep it off. I'm just going to check under the CPU shield, heatsink rather. When I reheat these, I actually do keep the heatsink on there. It doesn't need to have direct heat put onto it, I found. Okay. I'll just check under here, just simply so that I can make sure there's no corrosion going on. I have had a few where corrosion slips in onto the side here. And in this case it looks all perfectly good, thankfully. And we didn't disturb the thermal transfer compound too much. I actually wonder, could that this be half the fault or problem with the these boards, is that they've used this sort of thick transfer medium? I can't imagine so though, because surely the Intel processors do throttle themselves back down. So perhaps it's a combination of a few things. That little thingamajig down there is almost off its pad. Almost. You can buy pre-made, but expensive, easy do-it-yourself. What were we talking about? I think it doesn't help. Right, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying, Pernov. It's like it shouldn't kill it, but it certainly doesn't aid in making things last any longer. A lot of these parts are actually not reflowing as well as they should. It's not a pillow in the head scenario, but it's certainly not far off. Pillow in head scenarios where the solder, the paste doesn't wet into the end cap of the part, like we've got this one here. It is soldered there, but it's not very good. And to be fair, it's quite hard to do it consistently across a board every time, particularly when you've got this sort of like high parts here that are very good at absorbing heat, and in the valleys you've got the little parts, which is why you tend to need to have a very good what do you call it, a heat soak cycle before you ramp it up to the actual reflow cycle. But yeah, there's nothing to write home about on this one. Other than the fact that when they installed it, they kind of missed the mark there. Look at that screw. Looks like it might have, the automated manufacturing got it wrong, and it might have been one that sat on the side and had to get redone manually. Because, yeah, that screw didn't hit the mark. What is the common problem on this motherboard that you see? The CPU's dying. That's pretty much it. And it makes it very difficult. Pretty much any of these that come in are effectively just simply... You have to start out saying it's going to be better if you just consider this a data recovery scenario. Because if you charge people to repair it, then chances are it's going to die next week, and then they're going to be upset with you. So pretty much every single one of these is, do you need data recovery? And if they say yes, you go, alright, well, we can get the data recovery. If they say no, we've got it on Time Machine or iCloud backup. And then you really do just need to say, just cut your loss, walk away from it, get a new MacBook or something like that. Just don't get one of these ones. It's just an unfortunate scenario. All of these are failing, and the worst thing is, unlike say the 1286 with the GPU issues, or any of the others with GPU issues, you can't even bypass this. You need the CPU. But I would love to know the actual true mechanism of the failure. Like, is it having a die substrate problem like with the AMD GPUs, or is it another issue that's causing it? Whatever it is, it's not solder ball issue like under the CPU itself, because we only have to heat up to 200, and so we're not reflowing anything, we're just making it jiggle back. Right, so yeah, basically just listen to whatever Pernov says. Yeah, the whole PCB is a little bit... I don't think they got the process quite right with it. Like I said, a lot of the trouble with these larger components here will be masking the heat away from the much smaller parts down below. But I think overall, the whole machine was it may as well be the modern 1425 in my opinion. At least the 1425 still survived. So what are we going to do? Right, we're going to heat this up 200 for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to plug it back in and see if we can get our data back. Okay. I wouldn't say it's cheap and nasty, it's just a case of the processes that they have, or the machinery they have, it just probably wasn't compatible with what they're trying to achieve. In terms of component quality, board quality, all that sort of thing, yeah, Apple's pretty good, really. But I think the reflow process, something just isn't quite up to scratch for this particular one. So we're just going to sit here for about 2 minutes. It should do it. Mr. Nihill, how are you, good sir? Been a while, I thought you were dead. But then again, I mean, yeah, I never hear from you very much, so I'll just assume you're dead anyway. I gotta say though, I mean, like the 1932, I know, some people like to joke about how the fan isn't even connected to the heatsink or whatever. And in fairness, I kind of understand what Apple's trying to do with that design. They're basically making the whole case, when the case is closed, basically a duct, and the fan just moves the air through the duct. And by not having the fan directly against the heatsink, and since the heatsink has a fairly large pitch on it in terms of its fin pattern, it's not likely to get choked up or anything like that. And I don't know, overall I know it looks comical and it doesn't seem to make sense, but when you put the lid back on the bottom of that, it does form a pretty good air duct conduit for it. Okey-dokey-dokey-doke. Anyway, like I said, that's for a debate for another day. Here we go again. I've got to... Damn it. I do not like pulling on flexes with adhesive on it and hoping for the best. You keep trying to die, do you? Yeah, they're trying to catch yourself some COVID-19. Where you're sticking your hand in the front of propellers on aeroplanes that you're not supposed to. Right, what I'm doing here is I'm hooking up one of these, and it allows me to then to plug a keyboard and mouse in, because obviously this up here is not going to work, which of course then permits me to do data recovery if I have to. I mean, I suppose I could try and hook it up as a, what do you call it, offline device. What's the correct term for that? I always forget what the Mac terminology is for it. Great. Where's the mouse gone? You had C19 in February? Oh, lucky you. How badly did it beat you up? Ah, found it. And do you have antibodies now, or are you one of those poor unfortunate souls that basically still has no defense against it? Target mode. Thank you very much, Stockholm's Razor. I don't know why I always forget that, but I certainly do. Okay, we've got power. Looks like it's full power. We'll just stick that there. Hopefully this will come to life. No, we've still got a flashing folder there, Farnell. That's no good. What do you think, Farnell? Flashing folder, something we can do about it, or what do you reckon's happened? Pretty brutal. 3 weeks of miserable sick. Oh, gross. Another couple of weeks of constant cough. Yeah, maybe you should stop smoking. That might help. What's this? 5600 phones. Feel like quitting Wapol. Idiots just purchased 5600 Apple iPhone 11. Oh wow. Well, should have got SE 2020s. Quit that years ago. Okay. Can check if you see the SSD when booting from an external drive at least. Yeah, I was just about to fire that up. I'm just trying to find my boot. This is where these contraptions get a little crazy. And hopefully it will let me boot from external. Let's see if we can press the right key on the keyboard. Nick, well, we've kind of gone over the original thing that I was doing, but basically, yeah, I've got this FLIR 1 Pro Android device, and I've made it work for Linux a little better than normal. Come on, man, boot. It is looking at the drive, the external one that I've got plugged in. And for whatever reason, this external one does take a long time to actually pop up as an available boot device. On some machines it's pretty much normal, you know, within a second or two, but on a lot of them it takes up to a minute before it finally says, oh, you can boot from me. And I don't know why. Damn it, it's still flashing away. No, it was, now it's stopped. Oh no, there it goes, yeah. Ah, looks like we are booting. It just didn't bother giving me the option to boot. Too many partitions? No, it's only got... This is just... all I did is I put that SSD into, I think it was a 1278, and I installed High Sierra on it. And then I took it out, and I used that as my portable boot drive. I mean, some of my ASD ones I'll say have too many partitions. Well, basically I am at the partition limit on a few of those. I hope this boots into my system and not theirs. I'll just put this over here as protection. Yeah, I think the antibody test is a bit tricky at the moment. There's a lot about this coronavirus that really is quite different. Okay, this is mine. No, I've got the wrong mouse. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Bring up the Finder. Oh no, I want disk utility. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. I've got nothing else showing up. That's not good news. Yeah. Is this shared by full volumes? Don't know what that means. Showing up in terminal. Well, I'll bring up terminal and have a look. Change the view mode to see a list of drives. I thought it was in there. Oh, right. Sorry, Farnell. Show all devices. And sadly, nope. Same thing. How do you get a list of all the devices in the terminal mode? It's not something on Linux I know for sure, but I don't know about Mac. Oh, Paul, thanks. At least I know I'm not the only one. I don't understand why, because it's sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it depends on what adapter cable I'm using. Sometimes it depends on what drive I'm using. I can't seem to disk util list. Okay, so it's basically the same thing. Disk util list. I've got a synthesized drive. What the hell? Device disk 1, synthesized. No, that's mine. I've got device disk 0, external physical. Okay, I'm guessing the synthesized one is actually overlaid on disk 0. I'm guessing. Mind you, that is an APFS drive. And mine... oh no, mine are APFS. Oh, well, that explains why half the time won't boot. That's crazy. I actually thought I put that in as a HFS, but it's done APFS instead. Well, that'll explain why it won't boot on some systems. You have them showing up as device disk on macOS. Okay. Well, it turns out that... yeah, I don't think this is going to show me anything. Because all I've got is disk 0 external physical, which I'm going to assume is this. And then disk 1 is synthesized. And it just sort of looks like the same thing, really. And yeah, the 19.8 gigs, 119.8 and 119.8. So we can't see the SSD on this. Hi, Victor Young. Yeah, it looks like it's yeah, not detected at all. Unplug internal hard drive. All these are on the board itself. There's no... you can't connect it. CPU... can always check SSD power up at waste time. CPU not communicating with solid state controller. Okay. Well, we'll shut this down. Well, now at least I realise why this won't boot on some of my devices. I'll have to create that portable drive again, but using HFS. Like I said, I don't know why it went APFS, because I used High Sierra and I was fairly sure I told it not to automatically use APFS, but I guess it did. Oh shit, Lethal One's here. How's it going, Lethal One? Okay, shut down. Shut down. Hello, Lethal One and Nihil. Oh look, my software's crashed. How ordinary. Actually, I know what's happened here. The battery has run out, would you believe? The I didn't have... I know you can hear me, but you just can't see me. Oh, I've disconnected it, that's why. Let's plug this back in. Who would have thought disconnecting something would cause it to not work? I mean, what sort of magic is that? Let's see if this comes back up. Helps if you sudo, buddy. Hey, sudo wins the day again. Alright, as I was trying to say, now you get to look at the purple man. So where's the hotspot? Looks like it's up above. Let's bring it down. Yep, this is why I need to get the proper cable. That's better. Yeah. Yeah, the cable on this thing, because it goes USB-C to USB 3 to external cable extension, it seems like you just touch it a little bit, it loses its connection. Anyway, so yeah, that's running the app that I wrote. Well, I shouldn't say I wrote it because I didn't. I took someone else's old code from about 2017 and made it so that it worked better. So it actually could work without needing all the stuff that they had. Yeah, it is pretty trippy actually. No. The fun thing is, you can tell when I'm breathing, because I'll breathe in, you check the nostrils, and then breathe out. So the nostrils go dark when you breathe in, which is obviously makes sense. Alright, back to our regular scheduled overhead. Alright. Disconnect that. Which friggin' mouse does what around here? But yeah, I'll get myself a proper USB-C extension lead, and that will alleviate that sort of intermittent issue that I've got there. Panov, the only thing I can say is that the person has written on the submission film that it was intermittent, and they were able to do a whole bunch of things like PRAM resets and F6, FSUCs and things like that, and they got it to come up. But then eventually it stopped responding, and that's, well, where it is now. So I'm not sure what to think. I could try clamping. It seems to work on some iPhones. Well, this is USB-C. It already is, but I need to just get a cable that goes USB-C male to female, and they're actually surprisingly not that common. And the ones that are out there are quite expensive, because I need one about 2 meters long, 1.8, something like that. We'll have another look over the board and see if there's anything I can spot. John, yes, I was this was given to me by Jim, who's in our chat, who's a regular, and he sent it up my way so that I could have some fun with it. Well, not really. so that I could improve my work, I suppose, and produce more videos and more interesting content from those videos. That polyfuse looks like it's had a hard day, but that's more of the keyboard area, trackpad. So I'm not even sure where the SSD, let me guess, SSD controller is built into the chip, is it? The CPU? I mean, obviously these under here are the actual storage chips. Yeah. Maybe needs more heat, and maybe. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? I don't think I'll make a cable, not for USB-C. Pardon me. Heat and pray. Yeah, the enable comes from the CPU. Joy. No. Oh, U8400. Okay, I'm just going to bring this up now. Flex board view. Actually, where the heck is the board number on this one? Because I haven't yet encountered it. So. U8400. Oh, it's that monster of a thing. Oh, Lord. It's that there. Right, just as Pianov's telling me. 8200024? What? No. The question is, can I get it off without doing too much damage? So that's the one thing I want to check to see is are there any minor components around it? Okay, there's a few cap, resistor, cap, 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 cap. Cap, 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 cap. View. Right, yeah. Not overly keen on cooking that up to get it off, but and I don't have any compelling reason to do so because of the fact that there really isn't any indication that there should be anything physically going on in there, like liquid damage or anything like that. I wonder if maybe I just reheat this section. It's a bit of a random move, but you never know. Yeah, maybe it's some sort of crack joint or something like that, or bonding wire that's coming a little loose, but I don't really have my hopes up for that. As far as I know, this person, I'm pretty sure they already have the data off it. We'll have to double check that. Let's check my job list. It's question mark on folder and boot has been intermittent for the last month. Done many a workaround until a week ago. Trying everything key combination that would boot up successfully. If I left it in more than 5-10 minutes, it would turn off, and then I'd have to do the whole process again. Right. Yeah. I'm thinking that... Yeah, probably not. Hey Chris Long, how's it going? But I guess the point is, even if, no matter what I do, it's not a long-term fix. But that unfortunately is the case with the whole machine anyway. No matter what you do with these, it's not going to be a long-term fix, unfortunately. They are doomed. Which is really sad because people do like them. They have spent money on them. And they are convenient little laptops. But you can't escape that reality, I'm afraid. Must be the season for it, because I think this is about the 4th or 5th one of these that I've had in the last month. Okay, she's running a little hot right now, so I'll just give it a chance to cool off. Chris with these salty comments already. Go play with the dingoes, Chris. You're currently using a 1425 with a hole in the battery cell. Well, yeah. I guess good luck trying to find another battery. Has anyone tried to repack those at least? At least you can use a controller and just repack it in the assembly. Even if you use smaller cells, just find something that's relatively close, spot weld the cells in, or sonic weld them, and see how you go. iPads with keyboards. Oh, they're a little better than iPads with keyboards, Chris. What they are going to release, though, soon will be iPads with keyboards, with the ARM series ones. Okay, I'm just plugging it in again, see how we go. Yeah, because I noticed people are saying like, oh, hey, we've got a different thing then, I think. Yeah, here we go, we've got a boot. Because as limited in performance as these chips are, in their size and everything, they still do stomp all over the ARMs. If you're talking single process performance, efficiency, okay, fine, you know, the ARMs can have some wins there. But if you're talking about a typical operating system like macOS, then the x86 is always going to dominate. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's made as a CPU that, you know, the whole design is around the fact that it's a general purpose system, whereas the ARM chips are a little more focused. So, yeah, that's working. The question is, you know, we haven't really fixed squat. It's going to die again soon enough anyway. Yep. I suppose the question for me now is, was that the CPU heat that did it, or was it the SMC controller that did it? If it's the SMC controller, can I replace that? I mean, I've got some donor boards. That may as well be a CPU, that thing. Yeah, it will fault out again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they actually already have their data. I'll double check with them, but I'm pretty sure they do with Time Machine and Cloud. I guess I want to know is which one was it, CPU or the controller? How much did you use? That was 250 and 60. So 250 centigrade, 60 liters per air. Liters per air. For flip's sake, liters per minute air, and that's on a 9mm nozzle, and about 2 minutes, which I thought was pretty standard for most people doing the CPU recoveries. Oh, and it was about 3/4 of an inch above the CPU. Do you ever repair iMacs? I have done one or two, but it's not something that I advertise because the problem there is that the cost of shipping and the risk of shipping is just too high. I shouldn't say too good. I can almost guarantee that Australia Post will damage it one way or another. So even if I fix it, they're going to damage it. Okay, well, we'll shut this down. So yeah, it's either the CPU or it's that controller. Were you holding your tongue when you heated it? I was a little bit, Chris, and that was on the left-hand side, back on where the wisdom teeth used to be, with about maybe half a kilo of pressure. And I had a coffee about an hour and a half ago, so yeah, that should be about right. We're going to just put this one aside because, well, we really do know what's going to happen here. But I'll discuss it with the person and let them know what their options are. Unfortunately, they're not going to be overly happy about that, but not much I can really do. So that goes into a spare slot. Let's see, what can I fiddle and fart with today? So I've got some boards here. Let's play poker. Do you think a proper reflow would get it? Likely not. Particularly if it is the CPU, then obviously that's just never going to work for long term. If it's the controller, then maybe. And I think half the problem there is actually trying to get that controller reflowed properly. Okay. iCloud lock BIOS removed. I remember this one. It's got a BIOS on it, but it's not a proper one, and I have pulled a chip off this thing. Why would I do that? I was pretty sure this is a working board. So let's put the chip back on and see if we can make it work. I've still got the serial number sticker on it, but I know that BIOS is not a valid BIOS. It's probably just one I threw on there to see if it would even boot. Some people argue that rebuild may last longer. Yeah, I guess the problem there is, as you say, can't comment. The fact that it even has a potential span of life rather than lasting as long as you want it to last is the problem, isn't it? So, alright, you've got a chip, so I'm going to use you. Ooh, better put this back. These are my just boards that I have collected over time. Obviously not this one, that's a donor, but and when I don't have a particular job on the bench, I like to try and see if I can fix them up, making sure they're working properly. Speaking of which, the one that we fixed up the other day, that is working just perfectly fine since we fixed up the feedback circuit. I am very, very glad that we found that fault, because it put my mind to rest as well, because wow, there's a bunch of parts missing off there. Why did I do that to this board? Man, what else did I steal from it? Okay, everything's there. I wonder if I accidentally grabbed this thinking it was a different board. This has got a crap ton of parts missing from it. Okay, well the first thing I'll ask here for people who do know better, because I don't, the fact that this was iCloud locked, I think it was supposedly, okay, it's not like that, but, and had the BIOS removed. If I know the serial number, can I put a new BIOS on there that will work correctly? That's what I want to know. Can I generate a new BIOS firmware that will work correctly, given that we do have the serial number? Yes, there's a lot of things I don't know, and that's one of them. It can? Okay, Pernov, I will take your word on that because you are a trustworthy person. And if you let me down, there's going to be nothing I can do about it. It's not like I'm going to fly to France and yeah, that's out of the question. So you're safe. Alright, well, let's get this reconstructed. And hopefully we've got ourselves another 3437 we can use. Both clean and change it. Alright. I'll probably have to pay somebody to do that, or someone can send me a guide on how to do that, because I'm a little bit doofus. I mean, sure, I'll reprogram, software for the infrared controller and stuff like that, but ask me to do something difficult, like reprogram a BIOS. I've done it once or twice, but I've forgotten since. Okay, here we go. Need some lung cleaner. Lethal One, you take that boomer comment and you shove it where the sun don't shine, because I am definitely not a boomer. I'm the generation that everybody else has forgotten about, and that's the Gen X's. Boomer my butt. Ask Harold to send you one. I suppose you might have already, in fact. I did get my stock of chipmunks the other day, so it's really good. Yeah, the trouble is, you see, Gen Xers actually, for as much as the millennials and the Zeds, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, dislike boomers, you have to understand that the Gen Xers, for a great part, hold an even greater distaste for what's happened. And we're just busy trying to deal with it, trying to do something about it, because our clock is running out as well. And it's running out pretty damn fast. Like, here I am, I'm nearly 50, and I'm only just now getting to the point where I can get myself a house, and that's under some very sort of tricky, well, I wouldn't say tricky circumstances, but it's under some very generous circumstances. Because the banks were basically saying, nah, we don't want to talk to you, you're just a filthy Gen Xer. There are plenty of Gen Xers who have done very well, got their houses, all that sort of stuff, but unfortunately I didn't end up in that camp. And if anyone's seen the Michael Keaton movie with McDonald's, the McDonald's story, his words ring very true, in the sense of, there is a lot of broke geniuses, there's a lot of people that you think should technically succeed, but don't. And what really matters is just the tenacity, and just keep pushing as your most likely way of succeeding. And that's pretty much all I've got. I've just got to keep going at it, because it's not like a magic fairy is going to save me. Not today. And I wouldn't expect him to anyway. The only thing I wish is that the banks wouldn't be such flippin' hard asses right now. And what doesn't help is that in our area there's basically a blanket ban on doing loans. especially for sole traders. For those who don't know what a sole trader is, it's a person who works for himself. I don't know what you guys call it in the United States. Sort of given up trying to translate everything for you guys. Sole proprietor, okay, self-employed, yep, cool. Anyway, so that's what I am, and of course the banks just do not like us. But of course, if we did form a company tomorrow, took on an employee, or employed myself, then magically I would be able to get a loan, probably. So the way you defeat it is you go in with a hefty deposit, and that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm about around about 7,000 to go now on my deposit, so I'm making fast progress. Employ the cats, huh? Funnily enough. Katana Seiko, yes, exactly. That's how it works, isn't it? Now I understand that, you know, banks are a business about risk, but when you show that you've been successfully running your business for 15 years, or in my case, well, a hell of a lot longer than that. And then they say, oh, well, we just want to see your last 3 years tax returns, and fair enough, you give that to them. And it just basically seems no matter what you give them, they're always looking for a way not to give you money. And I suppose, you know, that's their prerogative. They are the bank. It's their money. It's not like it's a right I have. Damn, this slight bit of skew is driving me insane. I want to kick it out, but I know I shouldn't. Hey Chris Stevens, welcome, thank you. Most geniuses are broke because they care more about the work than the money. That, unfortunately, is true, Margarita, and you're absolutely right. But I would love to just sit back and work on whatever interesting research thing is going on, but I wouldn't put myself up in the genius category at all, even though people do like to push that term around. I'm sort of like good enough to work some things out, but I also know that I really do have to, at the end of the day, get real work done to earn the money, to make sure I don't starve to death. Because if I starve, the cats will probably eat me. Sent you a Discord about EFI. Thank you, Pernoff. Thank you. Keep hustling, that's pretty much it. Catherine, fortunately in Australia here our money is plastic, polymer money, so washing it will not cause any damage, thank goodness for that. Okay, we've got the 3, okay, so we've got 3 plus 3 transfers. Should I be naughty and try to do a triple transfer in one hit? Why not? We're here to live. Richard Bickett, yeah, I'd say Bell Labs would probably be my sort of thing. One of those type of places, but it's not the reality. When I was over in South Africa, that was probably my best work scenario. My boss knew the sort of person I was. They just gave me the task, and yeah, they didn't micromanage me or anything like that. They just said, this needs to be done. Can you get it done? Go out there, here's your resources, and come back to us when you're finished. And there weren't any sort of like, there weren't any constant update requirements or anything like that. It was just like, get it done. And there are always interesting, novel, new projects. It's good when you get a boss that realizes that you're not going to be slacking off, and that you'll probably actually, if anything, need to be told to slack off and take the weekend off here and there or something like that. When you got a boss that understands you're that kind of person, then it usually works out really well. Unfortunately, my boss right now is very difficult to work with. Constantly having arguments, very stressful. So it'd be good when I'm no longer my own boss. Actually, that's not true. Yeah. Things will be better once I sort out this current housing situation for everybody that's involved in it. You know, we all just want to get on with our lives, and do the things that we want. It's just a case of, you know, coming up with more money, and we're getting there. We're getting there. If the Australian money is washed in very hot water, will it melt? Steve, I actually have found it does not. At least, well, I suppose it depends what you mean by very hot. Certainly up to around about 55, it seems fine. The missus is my boss. Well, that is true. That is. Just don't tell her that. You hear the fan cut down then? That's because the hot air station decided to suck all the power out of my network. I really need to probably put some kind of UPS on the quick hot air station. So yeah, everybody here wants to get on with, you know, their new place or whatever, but I'm being the stick in the mud here, or rather the banks are being stick in the mud. Yeah, okay, this is turning out a little trickier than I wanted then. Left-handed. That took a little longer. We'll float those back into place shortly. There's a cap I've got to get as well. Yep, there it is. It's going to be funny if I find out there's actually a fault with this board that is the reason why I actually did give up on it rather than trying to rebuild it. Okay, is there meant to be anything up here? And the board says yes. What about there? Yep, blimey heck, I really did wipe out this whole area. Don't know what I was thinking. So anyway, that does tend to bring us back to the fact that, yeah, I would have eventually bought myself one of these infrared cameras, but I'm also extremely thankful that there's people like Jim out there who decide that nope, they're going to send one instead, and it helps me considerably because, okay, for one, I get a new piece of equipment that's really good, and the other is I can keep saving towards the house, and you know, I can come back and repay those sort of debts later. Okay, there's 2 gaps there, but I'm fairly sure they're meant to be. Yep, they are. Hey, Jill Fraser. With the quick Cope 5 square waves. I'm not sure, Farnell. I've heard people say it does, but I gotta admit, I was looking at a pure sine inverter. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it did behave on a square wave. Oh, that's a big blob. If you feed those square wave outputs through an inductor, they do seem to round up nicely. Still not ideal though. Gregory W, pay you back later. $10, thank you. How much later are we talking about? And will that be with interest? Okay, this feels like something's gone on here. That doesn't look right to me, and I'm right, it does not look right. I don't believe I could have possibly butchered a chip that bad. That does not look like my kind of work. So much so I'm going to actually remove that chip entirely. Actually I might wait until at least I can prove that it boots. Yeah, it's not quite as efficient, mostly because you got the extra high switching frequency to simulate the sine wave with a billion other, well, a few thousand square waves instead. But yeah, but still, it's not that bad really. These days, the efficiency on a lot of these things are surprisingly good. I think they're around about somewhere between 75 and 85% efficient, last I checked. And besides, it's not like the modified square wave is really that much better by the time it gets to the output. Unless you're just talking purely a resistive load, like a heater. But that doesn't count. Hey Corey Postmo, yeah, definitely Apple work there. Yeah, it's more that it's been chewed at. It's like someone's been trying to lift it with some pliers or something, and they've completely chewed all the edges off. Alright. Let's see if this thing even boots. Hey Abdullah, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for asking. But now I have to find my, found what I'm looking for. Unlike you two. Yeah, I can't get over how much better the video quality is now that I've turned off that buffering. At least I'm thinking it was the buffering that was causing it. It's just unbelievably clearer. So sad though, still. I wonder if I can get much of a zoom in on this. Probably not worth the risk. Supposed to pry him off with a small blade, a screwdriver. Yeah. Or a chisel maybe. A chisel and a hammer. Alrighty, let's see how we go. Got the power supply is up, is it? Yep, power supply software is running. And let's roll. Yeah, it's a bad start. It's a very bad start. 17 milliamps. We had a flicker just then. What's going on? 20. Joy. So maybe there was something else wrong with this. Okay, let's get the multimeter out and see what we've got running around the place. Try so we should have 342. Yep. 1256. Oh, sorry, 8.6. Yep. Hmm. Nothing. Nothing. Unfortunately, the FLIR definitely will not be much use in this scenario since it is only 20 milliamps. So I don't think we're dealing with a short, rather we're dealing with something like all sys power good not coming off or something like that. Not sure exactly. Just seeing if we've got PM sleep S4L. I get a feeling there's... I always forget if it's that one or that one. Well, either way, it's not good. Now, the fact that we've got 40 millivolts on that does give me cause for concern. Stuck in S5 state. Yep. Oh, okay, alright. This one up here... Wait, am I measuring... I was measuring off the wrong thing anyway. Right, this is S4 power enable, so we're not even there. And this is PM sleep S4L, and we've got nothing there. Right. Can you advise on a training video where and how to check voltages on desktop motherboards? Chris Stevens, pretty much. Oh, wait, you talking about PC desktop motherboards and stuff, or what? Because there's really... Try without DC and flex just to check. Alright. That's always a fun one when people leave that off and it boots and they're like, hey, it boots, and they plug it back on and it stops booting. 20 milliamp. Yeah. So much for this just being a bad BIOS. Let's see, PC motherboards. I'd just sort of scour places like bad caps, and when you do have an issue, there's a fair bit of junk down there. When you do have an issue, ask them, and there's usually someone around. Or people like Farnell are very good with that sort of information. Looks like there's been corrosion around here. This probably wouldn't hurt to have this go through an ultrasonic, I'm thinking. But then we may lose our beloved hints. It's seen something. Yeah. I don't know what I didn't check to see if I had check that voltage. I'm not going to have anything there, but okay, so we've got 3.3. No, I don't think it's pulsing at this point. We'll have another look down off. Come here. There's no pulsing going on there. Yeah, I'm with Paul Gallant on this one. I'm going to check the other side of the board and see what else might be missing or knocked off, or I could probably do to redo that BIOS, that's for sure. I didn't check to see if I had my 32 kilohertz coming out of that clock chip. It looks like Allsys power grid might have been redone. Yeah, I think I'll take that BIOS off anyway. Now, Panov, it might be that. I was trying to think of making a device that could catch the transients, like a min-max catcher. I was thinking what I could do is put my multimeter, my portable multimeter, on in current mode and just have it record the maximum. Oh, that was not on properly, that was just floating. I don't think it'll actually be the cause, but just put together a phone that was cracked and the battery's swollen, there was no back camera, front camera, also bought parts for it, and everything seems to work perfectly, and the phone was water damage. Hopefully it lasts you. It's always a bit tricky with water damage phones. You don't know when they're going to come back, and some of them do last indefinitely after you've repaired them. Some of them die right when you need them not to. Which is why when it comes to customer jobs, I basically, it's water damage, it's like, oh yeah, that's data recovery only. And they go, well, my phone's perfectly fine. And it's like, well, that's for you to decide, but I'm only going to offer this as a data repair, data recovery job, nothing else. Dave Jones surely could donate a scope out of his hundreds. Oh man, the amount of scopes that man has, it's quite amazing. And there's such a huge amount of them, dumpster dive ones, aren't they? So, what are the people in his building doing, throwing that stuff out all the time? They must be well off. Or maybe it's Dave just throwing out stuff and then pretending to find it. Hey, Raphael. Oops, that's a 165 board that I took all those parts from. Though in this case, being a 165 board for that section, it shouldn't be any different. I hope. What have we got here? Another 165. Yeah, anytime I want a 34, 37, I get 165s and vice versa. This one's pretty beaten up as well, but at least it looks comparatively intact. Hey Joshua Anderson. SPR ROM is different, you have an additional U6101, but yeah, but that section that we rebuilt, that should all be the same. Did I see Pedro in here? Oh no. It is slightly chewed, but it's not as bad as the other one. The other one was aggressively chewed. These can be a little bit tricky to get off because that large center pad, it forms a suction. And you have to get past that. God damn, come on. Now comes the fun part, waiting for it to drop down onto the center pad. There we go. Wow, I got the shakes bad tonight. That's no good. That's shonky ass. That's a Dodgy Brothers quality repair there. Alright, we will just add some flux and then give it a little bit of a push back. There was just a bit too much flux under the center pad, and so it couldn't really settle down properly. There we go. Let's see, non-Mac hot air question. Class D amplifier, SMTM, big caps, plastic framed inductor, speaker wire. Oh. Yeah, that's a tough one, Richard, because yeah, you're right. A lot of that's going to melt. Chances are they probably reflowed all the SMC stuff on first and then manually soldered on the pin through stuff for the wires. It's cooling down nicely here in Australia now, actually. Look, we're almost getting below 20 at night here, which is nice. Richard Monero, Argentina, how's it going? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if you're going to learn much, but you're welcome to watch, of course. It has a couple of little spasms then dies. I'm gonna do my PM Sleep S4L diagnosis sequence. Mr. New York Danny, I do, but mostly I just stick with MacBooks for now. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through this sequence to just check that everything makes, so see if I'm missing anything for PM Sleep S4L. So all I have to do, this is part of a feature that I'm working on. So you just click on the various rails or sections, like G3 Heart, wait, what am I doing? Yeah. And then you just go through, some of them are going to show up here. And each one I just got to test and see what is needed. So I'm pretty sure we checked RTC G3 Hub. We found that was indeed 3.3. So RTC, let's go back to the microscope now. Bring it out. Yeah, there's nothing much on the CPU side. I have to go on the other side. Okay, a lot of these rails are clustered around, there's a section on the board here, right there. That's where you pick up a lot of these rails for PM Sleep S4L. Okay, 3.3. Check the S5 and sus power rails first. Yeah, alright, we'll do that. Fortunately, I have actually got them all, so like S5, S4, S3. The PM Sleep S4L thing is just more of another sequence that I've created so that you can just step through. Whereas these ones up here, these are just all your rails listed so that you can go through rather than having to go to the page, like where is it, the rails page on the PDF and go through it manually. This is kind of a cheat, and it just sort of says, well, here's all the rails for you now. I thought you were running off somewhere, Margarita. No, maybe I got that wrong. For some reason I thought you were heading off somewhere. Okay, so we've got 8.6. That's for PP Bus G3 Hot, which we knew anyway. And next one we've got is S5HS Computing, which is way over the side here. Well, one of the spots anyway. I think it's the one there. 5.6, that's good. HS Computing Other, it's back into the middle of the board, which is actually on the chip we did work on before, so there's a possibility that there could be an issue there. That's that one there. 8.6. Stream gone. No, hello. I'm still recording fine here. Hey, Yang Shishi. ISOL. Well, obviously that was just probes reversed, but 17.8. 3V42 we know we have. RTC we know we have. 5V5 S5. Somewhere down here. I'm just going to sit here and see if that jumps anywhere. Yeah, it's fine, it's steady. 3v3 S5, which is bloomin' everywhere. Sometimes the fun of these things is just trying to pick where you're going to pick it from, because there's just so many options. Let's see. 3v3 S5. Damn it, I can't get to that one because it's under there. Covered in the blobs. Yeah, we'll just go up here. Where are you? That should be you up there. Yeah. Andrew Hughes making beer. Oh, it sounds like essential nutrients for a growing body. Alright, all our S5s are there. So now we're going to move into the S4s. It could be entirely that I've just got a bodgy chip. Okay, I don't seem to have 5ES4 RS3. Sus. We're gonna. Where are my sus rails actually? I don't know why I don't have them listed. Okay, sus should be on the BIOS. Better add those into my little sequencer. Yeah, we don't have sus. 3v3 sus is missing. What about 3v3 S4? Is that missing? Sleep sus, I'll check. Just let me check this too as well. I don't like it when I get like 30 or 40 millivolts on a line. That's 3v3S4 has 30 millivolts. That's a bit of a suspicious value. Sleep sus. Control F. PM sleep sus L. Yeah, it's one of those awful ones that you gotta find in the CPU area. Right there, I'm looking at it and... oh, there it is. Looks like it's already got a probe mark in it too. And PM sleep sus L is high, so we are alive there. Pretty sure that's it. Yep, that's it. Isn't that missing a resistor? Yeah, you might be right, I'm not sure. I didn't check to see if it was marked as a no stuff. Oh, you're bloody well right, Pernov. Pernov gets a Dogecoin for that. No, I thought it was just someone that squished the pads. I'll tell you what, it'd be awesome if that was the fault. Because everyone's lamenting though the fact that we haven't got a shorted board to use the thermal camera on, but well, I can't provide everything. Don't you dare. You get back there and you do your job. No, I'm melting the sticker. I hate that. Pernov. Why do you have to say things like that, Pernov? You're not supposed to be the sadistic type person like Anel and Lewis. Let's have a look at those anyway. Let's check our CPU resistances. 14. It's tolerable. It's actually a little lower than I'd expect for a 3437. I would have thought it'd be more like about 30 or 40, but it could be a bit warm. Alright, let's plug it in and see what happens there. Oh ho ho! Pernov wins! Congratulations, Pernov. Thank you. Let's see if it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. It kind of looks like though it's just doing non-stop. So it's not really fixed yet. It's just non-stop. almost fixed, not quite. So yeah, it's not really booting properly. Yeah, I was thinking I better add the heat pipe. But you want me to put... It should still work even with a substitute chip though. I mean, I'd be surprised if it didn't. Because, I mean, there's been plenty of times where you take a donor BIOS from another board, you put it on just to see if it will do a boot, and it works. So, yeah. You may have to let it run for longer. Why is that turn off? I'm just looking for a spare heatsink at this point. Maybe I'll just use this one. This one boots, but in the ASD it comes up saying there's issues with the Thunderbolt lanes. I'm not really sure what's going on with that one yet. Alright. Well, I'm just going to transfer the heatsink over. And I just realised that this is probably... yeah, this is the customer's container. From the 1534 that we just did. Which means I better go put it over into the slot and put a proper sticker on it. Hey Dot Music, how's it going? Okay, slot. Oh, whoops. There's not really much point in putting all four in, other than the fact that I just don't want to lose them on the bench top, so I'm going to put all four screws in. I'm going to have to, when this is finished, go back and compare the quality of this video to the previous videos that I've done and see just how much of an uptick there is, if there is any, or whether it's just simply a weird perception issue. Some don't boot, some turn off 30 minutes to exact. Okay, alright. Let's have a look. Let's go again. It does have a notable delay at the start, but we'll let it go for a minute and see what happens. Given that we've found one missing part, I guess that it's quite possible that they're... okay, that was a very long delay. I can see the fan slows down as if it's trying to do the stop-start process, but it doesn't actually do it. But yet, strangely, we've got... no, that is booting. Could be that the ROM's corrupt. Okay. Hey Travis! Haven't spotted you for a while, so good to see you. Yeah, it's posting. Weird. I'll put it on a chassis and have a look at what it's doing. So you think maybe I should try just put a ME new chip in there and see how it goes? Now, of course, business people are going to be watching me do this, and they're going, "Why the hell would we send any of our stuff to Paul?" All he does is he just goes on to video streams and gets everyone else to do his work for him. I was like, well, I thought that's what good business was all about. Hey, Justin Anderson, good. The other thing to be aware of is in a lot of these cases, actually I'm just going to use the screen extension, I think. A lot of these cases are off camera. You would normally be doing the same thing anyway. When you sort of get something that stumps you a little bit, you go running off to the people that you know who might have experience in that particular area and say to them, hey, have you encountered this before? We are not people who hold all information in our heads or even in Google. Okay. So these sort of live streams are rather just a case of being honest about this is how it really is done most of the time. Unless you're something like a savant and don't need anyone's help, in which case, bravo. Alright, let's see if this thing gives us a flashing folder. Maybe I'll plug in my... Yeah, I'll plug in my external drive. Probably a bit late now, but we'll see. Turn off that. There we go. Well, it has energized the screen, so that's a good start. Courier Postma, I did have a good supplier of batteries for the 1466 and they seem to have run out, so it's a bit of a problem. It is accessing the drive. You can see it flashing away like crazy there. So we may get an Apple logo come up shortly. Or we may get a blinking folder. Or we may get a crossed out circle. I'm not sure which we're going to win with. But yeah, these extension cables, they're very useful. I found they don't seem to work very good on the Retina displays, but they do a perfectly good job on the 1466s. Okay, you're having trouble with the 1405s. Probably find that the 1405s from eBay aren't really 1405s. They're probably just, you may find that they're, what is it, 1397 or 1396s or something like that, slash 1405 slash something else. I've got a couple here that people have sent me, and you're right, they don't work with anything. The fan is going flat out, so the SMC might be a bit upset. Maybe wants a prime reset. It's certainly trying. I'll give it that. It is trying. I'll see if I've got installation. I've got something. This is where it's a pain that I've got all my stuff spread everywhere. A lot of my installation mediums and things like that are in the other workshop or the other office, and I don't tend to leave much up here. What do you... Got some kind of a USB stick here. Oh, there we go, we've got a flashing folder. So we are up and alive. So we just need to sort out that serial number and whatnot, and we might actually have a chance here. Drive, yeah, and these 3437s generally are not updated with that, so yes. I'm going to have to fix that. I'm going to have to make this a HFS. I was pretty sure it was, because I remember the first time that I did this, the APFS was exactly the fault, and I thought, right, I need to just make it the HFS plus, and so I selected it, but for some reason it still went along and did that. So clearly I did not select it appropriately enough, or, you know, with enough prejudice. Just going to see if anything comes up on this. Yeah, it's definitely still got that long fan spin. So, should I get the infrared camera out and have a look at the board? Cool, blimey, mate. Put this off to the side. Right. One thing I've noticed, Jim, is that you have to turn these things on before I connect them up. Else they have a bad habit of not booting, not connecting up properly. Okay, let's see if we can get the infrared to run. Okay, that's up. I've done something with my... Where are you? There we go. Here we go. Infrared coming up. Don't some macOS versions automatically convert to APFS? I have heard that, yes. Alright, so obviously we've got reflections showing up. Like, this is all backwards. Yeah, reflections there. We've got a hotspot. This is backwards to me, so I'm not really sure. The hotspot is some chip over, that's I think Thunderbolt. Maybe I should stick the microscope camera. Oh well. Let's flip it over and see what we got. We got ourselves a new hotspot. What do you? No. I'll get used to this over time. Okay. So that's camera chip. What's this? I don't know what that is. I'll pretend yep, whatever. You down a bit? It's getting hot just in here, which is the underside of... Oh, that's the Thunderbolt under there. Oh well. Yes, Richard, the crosshairs find the hottest spot. At least that's the way I program. I'm kind of wondering whether I should make it so that it can do multiple hotspots. So we're going to go to crotch cam here if I'm not careful. Kind of having difficulty here getting too much closer. At least even from a distance, it's yeah, that's pretty good resolution overall. You can set some zinc selenium lenses to overlay, and the existing lens lets you get some nice close-up. Oh yeah, someone was mentioning that earlier. Warren, this is a FLIR 1 Pro, so it's the 160 by 120 model. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is a combined overlay. If I turn off one of the let's see which one. No, okay. Okay, so that is infrared only, and I think I can get away with that. To be honest, I don't think I need the visual version. That is the one thing I noticed about this FLIR camera, is that it does seem to do the infrared very well, and the palette and the software, the processing of the data makes the outlines show up quite nicely. Hey, Uncode. So I'll see if I can get in closer. Maybe I'll just prop the board up. That'll be the easiest option. Because if I move the camera around too much, it's just going to disconnect until I can get that cable. Uncode, I do remember you because I remember your name being interesting. Okay. Yep, we moved it. That's back. So is that 45? But at least it's able to, you can spot most of the things there. Let's shut it down because the board's getting pretty warm now. Let's watch it cool down and see that poor heat pipe working hard. Yeah, I'll try and make some more improvements on the software. Obviously, I can't really get much more clarity. I mean, there's a limit on what sort of clarity you can get on 160 by 120 pixels, but I'm definitely impressed with this camera for the fact that it picks up all the stuff that isn't hot really well still. You get a lot of the other cameras I've noticed, and that unless it's something that's warm, you really do not get a distinction that you're looking at anything. It's just like a grayed out field. Whereas in this you can see, the edge of the box and everything in my gloves. Yep. It's pretty damn good. It's taken a while to cool down. The other thing is that the palette, the way that it's applied to the heat, the information, is that it's always constantly being adjusted to the current spectrum of heat. So it's constantly scaling the palette to whatever temperature is there. So even though the temperature is going down, it's still going to use the same color for the hottest point. Maybe I'll just stick the great big turbo cooler on. I'm just gonna grab something here. I feel like I'm kind of out of place here, to be honest. That is taking a while to cool down. I'm gonna go put this into the cooler and get it to drop off on temperature. That's pretty cool. You can see that there was residual heat there. Let's see. Whoops. Yeah, okay. Thankfully, that looks like it's a business address. Yeah, my bad. It's not a problem with my address, but the other person might be a little bit miffed. Alright, let's put some power in and see what goes now. And see it warm back up. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's actually really neat. Doesn't infrared behave the same way through a lens of visible light? No, it doesn't, no. You can get a lot of things that are transparent to visible and completely opaque to infrared. ND, no, it's definitely not a standard video for Linux device, but I will be putting the software out, so you will be able to use it. You have to have a loopback module installed, and then this software I'll put it up. So yeah. FLIR closes the shutter every 30 seconds for calibration. Really? Okay. I didn't notice that. I gotta admit, that's pretty good looking, that is. I like the colours. Yeah. It looks like something that's been in the forge for a few hours. Yeah. It seems like the boys doing 5-10 second spin stop. I didn't check Pianov. Travis, get yourself the Transcend jet drives. I think it's the 820 or is it 920 and the Chris Stevens is all in C. No C++ on this one. It's just in C. And it uses this one here. I'm using SDL to do the application. What it does now is it actually creates there's 3 video streams coming out of it. It just forwards on the visible video stream and the grayscale infrared stream, but then it also processes a third one and creates a colorized, which is the one you can see, video output. But I'm adding the option where you can just not bother with having video output streams, but instead have it so that's an application on the desktop showing the output rather than having to try and hook it up to OBS. Hey Lewis. Yeah. So anyway, let's plug this back in. 3 video streams are coming out, and altogether that is all the pixels you get. Lewis, no, this is just the infrared stream, nothing else. I can bring up if we... There. That there is a very muted, because I've deliberately muted it, visual stream. So let's bring the filters, no, close. Filters. There you go. So that's the visual stream coming out of the camera, and that's the infrared. That's perfectly good. Lewis, this is the FLIR 1 Pro. It's a 160 by 120, and you're not going to be able to use it though because you're on Windows and this is now under Linux. So, and I don't think I'm going to bother cross-compiling for you because it's a pain in the butt to do video streams handling in Windows. So that's a big fat NO. Let's see, flip side. So it's pretty good. I'm happy with that, definitely. Alright. Okay, well, I think we close up now. Yeah, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I've definitely overstayed my welcome. Yeah, let's shut that down. We fixed the board. Thank you very much, Pernov, for spotting that missing resistor. I would not have got that in quite a long time. So, very grateful for that. And I'll have to put that board through a bunch of tests after I fix up the ME region and everything else. So yes, those wondering, just quit out of the camera there. This is what it is, a FLIR 1 Pro. Thank you very much once again, Jim, for that. That is going to be a real time saver, and I hope that sometime in the future we will actually encounter a board that really does need it. And I'll look into the macro lenses so that can be used for the iPhones, because yes, I can see that having a macro lens will be very good for the iPhone scenario, whereas this currently as it is will be perfectly fine for MacBooks. Alright, I'm gonna go. before Lewis causes me to rage quit, like his Dota games. And I will catch you maybe tomorrow, who knows. In the meantime, you'll take care. I'll see you later.